comprehensive medical evaluation as well as a series of cardiac, neurological, and vascular testing on Tuesday. So he is back home, and that is absolutely incredible news. Breaking news right now into First Take, though. We are just days away from a Dolphins-Bills Part 3 showdown. The first two matchups were split, but that was when Tua was at the helm for Miami. The quarterback has missed the last two games due to a concussion. Here's his coach, McDaniel, on Tua's status for Sunday.
As of today, Tua has not been cleared by doctors to resume football activities on the field with his teammates. So because of that and because of the time that he's missed, I can rule him out for Sunday.
Okay, so you just heard it there. They're preparing as if the Dolphins are preparing as if the rookie Skylar Thompson will get the start. Teddy Bridgewater also, of course, working his way back.
Well, number one, I think you have to ask yourself if you're a Dolphin fan if Tua is going to be able to play the rest of his career on a consistent basis. So number one, you're going to have to decide if you want to go forward down the road in 2023 with Tua, because this is a major problem. And the kid was playing really well, but he had the concussion with Buffalo. He had the concussion with Miami. He has a concussion with Green Bay. I mean, that's 3 concussions in a span of, 3 months. I mean, that's very tricky. So I didn't think he would play this week, and I don't know what you do with him in the future. Do you hope after 7 months? Who's to say this is not going to happen again? So I don't know how Miami will handle that question in the offseason. As far as the game is concerned, Sunday it kills the game. I mean, I don't want to look at it that way. This is more important with Tua, but it kills the game. I don't expect Bridgewater to play, broken finger. You can't expect him to play. Skylar Thompson's going to walk into Buffalo and win the game.
No way.
He barely beat the Jets with Joe Flacco. He's going to walk into Buffalo, and the Bills, playing for a lot of emotion right now, a team that could win it all. He's going to go out there and beat the Bills in that building? Not a chance. More reason why he needed Pittsburgh to make the playoffs from a competitive standpoint, because they had a lot of juice. Tomlin, Pickett, they were playing real well. And Miami, Buffalo, Sunday at 1 o'clock is a disaster. I don't know how the rest of you feel about it, but that game's going to be hard to watch. Thompson's not going to beat the Bills up there.
It's not even that. My mind is just more with Tua and his future and just sustaining the concussions.
Well, I think I think in the interest of fairness, we can have our mind on all things. Number one, we wish Tua the best. His career is in trouble because they're talking about the possibility of him having to live with these issues throughout his career, which means that he's going to miss his share of games, particularly with the attention that has been brought to bear down upon the whole concussion issues as it pertains to players from the National Football League. So if they see the slightest thing that rattles Tua, they're going to have him yanked from the game. They're not going to leave it up to the team. So you got that going on. And I still say it was a huge mistake to have him come into that game against Cincinnati and went 4 days earlier against Buffalo. He had gotten up and fall back down.
And he came back in the game against Buffalo in the second half.
That's right. Yeah. That was a big mistake. That's number one. Number two, you know who else I think about? Tyreek Hill. Because I think that Tyreek Hill is absolutely positively electrifying. But you know what? You got to have somebody to throw you the ball.
Yeah.
And you departed from Patrick Mahomes to go to Tua. And you didn't take into consideration that something like this could have happened. And the only reason I say that is because he is a miniature-sized quarterback. And so you didn't think about that, obviously. You got your money. I mean, he went there for the money. We understand that Miami paid the brother a boatload of money, which Tyreek Hill absolutely deserved, by the way. But you were playing with Patrick Mahomes, and now you're going to be playing with Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson or whomever in the future, because I don't know what kind of future Tua has. And then, of course, you got the Dolphins situation. Doggie's right. We can slice it any way we want to. There is no way in hell that Skylar Thompson is going into Buffalo, New York, and beating the Buffalo Bills.
It's disappointing all around. It's disappointing as fans. It's disappointing because Miami was on a heck of a tear, and then obviously that Tua is dealing with, and his health is the most paramount. We're going to leave it there, guys. When we come back, let's talk a little NBA, SA, the Stars on.
I wasn't doing that.
What were you doing?
Because if I was going to do that, I'd just say Jerry or Tom or,
We
Jerry or Tom.
With Jerry or Tom. We got Jerry in our crew. What's wrong with Jerry?
He's going. I'm just saying, if I was doing what you insinuating I was doing,
you always do it. That's who you are daily. Stop.
I'm not damn daily.
Look at your face. He was like the kid who did something bad in high school.
100%.
Like, like when you're like 8 years. What'd I do? I didn't do anything. What do you mean?
Look, he's doing it now.
No, because y'all always
so incriminating.
The problem with both of you is y'all always think I'm up to something. Like I'm always.
You are.
Yes, you're not paranoid if everyone's out to get you, right?
No, you're paranoid. You guys are paranoid. That's because you know what? This is what I learned. Somebody told me this, and I'll let you go on and run the show, Max. But somebody once told me this old gray-haired wizard, right? Wise guy. He goes, when everybody is always looking at you and wondering what you're doing, it's because they're up to something.
Oh, goodness.
I'm just telling you, Jay.
God.
I'm just telling you.
that's
an old wizard once told me.
Yeah, reverse psychology. That's
a little
really
reverse.
Smart.
So speaking of paranoid, should Mike McCarthy be paranoid?
Bad transition, but okay.
Listen to Jerry. Jerry, in the past, has told the truth. If he says he's going to hang on to a coach, Jason Garrett's there for a million years, right? Listen to him on 105.3 The Fan about whether or not the outcome of this playoff game, Cowboys at Bucks, will affect Mike McCarthy's job, his job security. Listen to this.
No. Just, I don't even want to. No. That's it. I don't need to go into all the pluses or minuses, but we're not seeing any. We're not basing. I've got a lot more to evaluate Mike McCarthy on than this playoff game.
You believe him, Key?
Absolutely, 100%. You know why? Because not yet.
It's January 11th.
Not yet. And I've got a lot more to evaluate Mike McCarthy on than just this one playoff game. So what he's saying right there is, oh, yeah, his ass is going to get fired if he doesn't win this playoff game, but it won't be because of the playoff game. I got a whole bunch of other data that's sitting on my desk. If my son has some, and my other son has some, and my daughter has some, and we're going to look at it for the amount of years that he's been here, we're going to put all that together, and then we're going to put the icing on top with the loss in the playoff game to the Bucks, and then we're going to fire him. That's what he's saying. That's all. He's saying exactly. You just got to hear Jerry.
I'm listening.
Not Chet. Right?
That's interesting because I had the opposite interpretation, which is that he hangs on. Like, he knows it's not good for an organization to be unstable that way, cycle through coaches, especially if you have double-digit winning seasons, right? So, but I hear what Key's saying, Jay.
But he ain't cycling through coaches, though, Max.
Well, how long's McCarthy been there now?
You know, in this world, Jay, of professional sports, you only gonna get 3 years now. You gonna get 3 years to do something. They not gonna let you keep messing around and getting extensions because you go to one playoff game and then they're not gonna do that in this day and age. That's why the league has sent these memos out to these owners saying, "Hey, man, over the last 5 years, we spent $800 million as the NFL firing general managers and coaches. Let's slow this thing down."
I mean, think about it if you're Mike McCarthy for a second. You go 4-1 with Cooper Rush, right? Like you tread water. You get your starting quarterback back. You're 12-5 overall. You feel like you were right there unless you drop a game to the Commanders for a chance to actually win the division, right? Potentially get a top seed in that conversation. And Mike McCarthy's done a heck of a job to a degree with this team. But like Kobe always says, it's time to put your big boy pants on because it all comes down to the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's key. And it's like there's no better scenario, too, than the team that smoked you in the first game of the season. Now you have to go down there. Like, they finished sub-500. Here's your chance to hit the ground running. How do you do in the playoffs will determine where you are next year with the franchise.
And their favorite.
You know, Max, you know the late Marty Schottenheimer went 14-2 and got fired.
Well, and Schottenheimer I always felt was just kind of an unlucky coach in the playoffs. I thought he was an excellent coach. Like, if you flip a coin 10 times, you might get 8 heads and 2 tails, right? If those heads are losses, you wind up 2-8, and everyone thinks you stink. But it's just you lost a couple close games. It was out of your control. In Mike McCarthy's case, though, Key, I think they're going to need a fall guy because they paid the quarterback, and they have to give him every chance to succeed. I always thought
there's a couple
that he has some runway, Dak.
there's a couple things, and this goes back to 2 years ago. You were not on our show at the time, but Jay Bob said that the next head coach was on the sideline. And that next head coach was Dan Quinn. And I bring this up to say, in my globe that I see Mike McCarthy, if he loses this game or even a divisional game and don't get to the NFC Championship,